This week we're going to fix a problem that has been plaguing every JL and Gladiator, even straight from leaving the factory. Let's take a look. So I mentioned this in a previous video, but on a recent trip out to Colorado and Utah, you can see I had some issues with my inner fender liners. Right here in the back, you can see this big notch that's in there. That's not supposed to be there. It's all cracked out. And you can see where it's rubbed down from the tires and everything. Just from the factory, stock size tires on this thing. Sway bar disconnected, but all factory features. And as you can see, it doesn't hold up. It causes all kinds of issues. Luckily, there's a bunch of companies that offer some fixes. Let's jump into one. Taking advantage of this awesome redwood slab that I've got here as my beautiful backdrop. But these are the pieces. They look fantastic. They're all nicely cut, formed, everything. They look real nice. To get started, there's 5 screws in here. There's a couple clips here at the bottom. A couple clips up top. All these rivets around the edge. Another one right there. And then there we go. So right here's why you can see I chose the Grimm inner fender liners right back in there. You can see my ARB twin compressor. It's a nice little package that they have. Their bracket, it puts it in the engine bay, so it keeps the compressor noise out of the interior of the vehicle, and it kind of keeps it where the rest of the racket is going on this rig. But you can see it, the bracket tucks the compressors up there real nice out of the way, and their fender liner is made to work with that setup. Some of the other ones, they may work, I don't know for sure, but I know that these ones are said to work with their compressor bracket, so that's why I went with it. There's 2 plastic clips in there. Trim removal tool gets it right off. Now we're good to go. Now this connector right here for the wire harness, that just needs to be popped loose. Now you can see there's these 2 clips in there that hold the fender onto the body there. So what I actually need to do, there's this plastic cover piece right here that comes down over the top, as well as this whole section down over the top of this one. So I actually need to trim those back so that I have better access to them. So I think the instructions tell you can use a pair of dikes on that to kind of just hack that back. I like one of these little oscillating tools. They actually work really well. They cut that real nice, and they're pretty controllable too. Bingo. Now the backside of those 2 white clips needs to get removed because we're actually going to run bolts through those. I find the easiest way is a good actual sharp wood chisel. Gets under there pretty well and tends to pop it off pretty nice. Quick and easy. Just pop that thing through. And there's the backside of that clip. Next up, there's on the Grimm compressor setup, you actually end up removing one of the wire harness clips already. There's one more back in here. You just need to pop that thing loose. Again, trim removal tools tend to work pretty well for that kind of stuff. Start with that rear section, and there's going to be, we're going to put a bolt in the top here, and there's going to be one down on the bottom, washer under the head of the bolt. And I actually kind of like 2 on this top one. Start it just by hand before putting anything up here, because if you look, it is slotted. That's the hole for that thing. So it's slotted, so that means that that'll slide in there without any issue, and you don't have to be trying to hold 3 different things all in one shot. Alright, so when you get that thing started up there, make sure you keep the plug, the connector for that harness on the inside there, and split that up. Another bolt on the bottom there, and again just finger tight on the nut on the back side. Now this little bolt back here gets taken out temporarily. We're going to put that little clip, threaded clip on there onto the bracket, lift up the bracket for the washer reservoir, and slide that between the washer reservoir bracket and that body mount. And then the machine screw that we used, or that we took out of that hole, we're going to put right back in to hold all that stuff back together. And when you put this bolt back in, you don't want to tighten it right down. You're going to just run it down kind of finger tight so it has some tension on it. And then we'll come back and we'll tighten it a little bit later on. Next up, front inner fender section. And we're going to use 2 more of those little sheet metal clip things. And they just push down from the top with a threaded section on the back side. Easy enough. So these 2 clips, they're going to align through those holes where those clips are that we shaved off earlier. So we slide those on the back side of that. Make sure that you're not pinching any wires or anything as you're setting it up there. So after you've got those 3 aligned, you can make sure that your small machine screws, your 1032s, these little guys, will fit into those 2 holes right there. I'm lined up really well. So now that that's good to go, on this side I can actually tighten that top screw without taking anything apart. On the passenger side, you do have to take that panel off before you can even get in here to snug this one up. But I'm going to do this one now because it'll save me having to do it afterwards. Now that I got that one tight, I can pull these 3 back out, and then I'm actually going to tighten that bracket up front. Now hold your bracket in place and tighten that screw back up. Once that's tightened up, then you can put this thing back in for good. Now that those 3 are in, I can get my little 1032s and tie those 2 panels together. This one's actually going to tuck behind these panels because you can see it's got these little threaded inserts. So they're going to go through these panels and then into this. And the bottom hole on this goes through the hole on this one. So that's why I left that screw loose. So I'll get this one started up top and I can drop that in down below. Okay, so I've just got that one in there loose. That way I can get the rest of this stuff lined up before snugging anything down. Now on all these screws that I have that are just going into those inserts, the threaded inserts versus a nut, I'm actually going to put a little bit of anti-seize on them. Being where this is, there's always that chance of mud and water getting on there. So I just want to try and keep those from getting too messed up. And hopefully they'll be able to come out the next time I need to take them out. Now that everything's started and set in there, I can go ahead and snug it all up. Now the last piece, this little small intersection piece. And again, threaded inserts on there. So those are going to go on the back side. And there's 4 more machine screws to hold it in. Now those 5 bolts that we took out right at the beginning, we're going to go ahead and put those all back in. And we're done. Everything's buttoned up, bolted back together. Let's head up the hill and see what it looks like. So you can see that liner fits in there a whole lot tighter, gives a lot more clearance for bigger tire. Nice setup, got rid of the falling apart stock inner liner, and definitely a whole lot more securely fastened in there. There you have it. Quick install on the Grimm Offroad inner fender liners. Got a nice little problem taken care of there. Move on to the next one. Give us a like if you like what we're doing on the channel. Go ahead and follow us too. See what else we have coming up. Whole lot of new stuff coming. Gonna do a bunch more junk to this one. I've got some other projects in the works as well. So let me know what you guys are thinking. We'll catch you on the next one.